Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the very first episode of this new show called The Early Show with Pastor Jinai, where I'll be sharing news as well as talking about real-world current events and sharing practical advice from a Dharma perspective on how we can navigate some of the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. If you would like to sponsor an episode of this show, you can do so. There is a link in the description section of this video. Now, the first part of today's video was a spontaneous impromptu filming. I wasn't actually intending to film at the time that I hit play, or rather record on the camera, so you will have to forgive me if the sound quality isn't fantastic, but I promise you it will get better as time goes on. Without further ado, let's get on to business.
Hi guys, first video today, and of course it was going to be on a bike. I thought that today I would talk about how Buddhism views population growth, if population growth is possible in Buddhism, and how the Buddhist scriptures would explain population growth. Before we answer that question, we first need to clear up the misconception that reincarnation is a one-in, one-out process. Someone passes away as a human and then takes rebirth as a human somewhere else. Now, if you were to go by that misconception, then it would be obvious that population growth is not possible. However, population growth is possible within Buddhism, and how that is explained is by considering the many different possibilities where we might take rebirth, where reincarnation happens. The Buddhist scriptures teach about the 6 realms of samsara, the 3 higher rebirths, the 3 higher realms, and the 3 lower realms. The 3 higher realms are the God realm, the demigod realm, and the human realm. And the 3 lower ones are the animal realm, the hungry ghost / spirit realm, known as Yidak in Tibetan, and the hell realms, the different levels of hell. When someone dies, when a being dies, they can take rebirth in any one of these 6 realms. So, a human may pass away and take rebirth as an animal. A god may pass away and take rebirth as someone in the hell realms. An animal may pass away and take rebirth as a human. If you consider, for example, just how many ants there are alone. Just ants, not any other animals, right? So just ants. There are literally trillions of ants on this planet. If any one of those ants passes away, or let's say 10% of those ants pass away, and they take rebirth somewhere else, if 5% of those ants were to take rebirth as humans, then it's kind of obvious that at some point the population will grow, the human population will grow. We're just talking about ants alone. We're not talking about all of the birds that are out there, all of the creatures in the ocean, under the sea. So if you think about the animal realm alone and just how many animals there are, and therefore just how many animals can pass away and take rebirth as humans, then it becomes logical that human population growth is very possible. The other thing I also want to point out is that Buddhism does teach that life can exist on other planets. It may not exist in the form that we're familiar with, or in a form that we might recognize, but life can exist on other planets. Since life can exist on other planets, on other galaxies, in other realms, it is therefore not illogical to conclude that should any of those beings pass away on other planets, they might take rebirth as humans here on Earth. So, if you put all of that together, that is how you would explain population growth according to Buddhism, and that is how you would explain that population growth is possible according to Buddhism. Alright, so I hope that short explanation helped you guys today. If you've got any other questions, feel free to send them in to me, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if anything I talked about wasn't clear to you, also let me know so that I can clarify it for you. And that's it for me for today. Bye guys, see you next week.
So in this segment called It's a Plant-Based Life, I will be sharing with you plant-based news, whether that is vegetarianism or veganism based. We will be discussing some of the ways that we can live a more compassionate life, as well as sharing tips and tricks and ideas for how people can transition over to a more plant-based diet. I myself have been vegan for just about a year. I'm still currently vegan. Before that, I was actually vegetarian for 10 years. And all of this was inspired by my guru, His Eminence Kechara Rinpoche. So I thought that I would start out by talking about what veganism is, because that is a question that I get from a lot of people. You will be surprised how many people ask me whether I can eat eggs, whether I can eat cheese, whether I can eat garlic, whether I can eat onions. The list of questions just goes on and on and on and on. So I thought that the first thing I would do is talk about what veganism is. Veganism is a lifestyle that abstains from any activity or engaging or purchasing or consuming anything that is derived from the result of animal exploitation, whether that is to refrain from consuming eggs or refraining from consuming things like honey, if you drink alcohol, certain types of beer, if you are extremely strict as a vegan, refraining from refined sugar, not using leather, making sure that your makeup is cruelty free and not the result of animal testing. All of these are activities that are part of a vegan lifestyle. Everyone's got different reasons for moving towards a more plant-based diet, but what is undeniable and what is shared across all of these reasons is that it has a beneficial impact on ourselves and on the planet. Now, how can living a more plant-based life, having a more plant-based diet, have an impact on our planet? Researchers at the University of Oxford said that going vegan is possibly the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth, not just greenhouse gases, but global acidification, eutrophication, land use and water use. So some people might say, well, I don't eat red meat, I don't eat beef, I don't eat lamb, I don't eat chicken, I don't eat poultry, but I only eat seafood. So did you know that even with fish farming, that the poop deposits and the unconsumed food create the perfect environment for methane creation? It also pollutes water sources for people, and it helps to spread diseases and so on. And did you know that livestock production is the single largest contributor to emissions all around the planet, more than trains, planes and cars combined? And did you know that producing plant-based protein is so much less harmful compared to eating meat, that even the lowest impact beef produces 6 times more greenhouse gases and uses up 36 times more land? That even when it comes to soy production, for example, 70% of all soy produced goes towards feeding livestock. So what are some of the ways that going vegan or going to a more plant-based diet will help our planet? By removing livestock from our food system, it means that we give our planet a chance to regenerate. It means that all of the harm that we are creating to our planet as a result of our meat consumption will be reduced. It means that we reduce the amount of emissions that we create. You know how we're always being told to turn off the lights, to turn off the fan, to turn off electrical outlets when we're not home, and we do all of that in order to reduce greenhouse gases? Well, if you really, really want to make an impact on the world, you can do all of that and you can transition to a plant-based diet. So think, the next time you make a choice not to use a single-use straw or not to use single-use plastic, you can also think, well, if I opted not to order meat this time, if I ordered something else instead of meat, I can be doubling the impact that I have. Don't you think that it's absolutely ridiculous that 70% of soy, which could be put towards feeding humans, which could be put towards ending hunger, is given to livestock in order for people to eat? So even though we might not think of it that way, our dietary choices can have a huge impact on our planet. And if we're really wanting to develop and to nurture the seed of kindness in ourselves as spiritual practitioners, starting with our diet is one of the fastest and easiest ways that we can do that. We need to think about the impact that we have on the world around us and the impact that our decisions have on people, and also think about the kind of world that we're leaving behind for the next generation. There are so many resources today available to us for free on the internet that we can read up, that we can study, that we can use to educate ourselves so that we can make more informed choices and we can make better decisions. I hope that you guys will keep reading up and keep educating yourselves beyond these short clips, these short videos. I will definitely be sharing more information as the weeks go on, as well as sharing some recipes, some ideas for how people can have a more interesting and more varied plant-based diet that's not just tasty but economical as well. Alright, that is it from me for this week on It's a Plant-Based Life. I hope that you guys found something in this video to be useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. What can I use as a substitute for eggs in vegan cooking? Where do vegetarians get their protein from? How would Buddha deal with different situations that we face in everyday life? How would Buddhism view certain phenomena that we observe in the world around us? We've also just released our new series of programs from Kechara and from Kechara Forest Retreat, and we've got a lot planned for the rest of the year, so please keep your eyes peeled for these announcements and for more information. The next big festival that we have coming up is actually Qingming. So as you may or may not know, filial piety, is that how you pronounce it, is a very big aspect of Chinese culture. Chinese children are raised from a very young age to respect, to honor, and to support their parents, to support their elders, and to respect their elders even if they are deceased. And that is why festivals which honor our deceased loved ones, including Qingming, are some of the biggest events on the Chinese cultural calendar. Traditionally, Qingming, which is also known as Tomb Sweeping Day, is observed by going to the burial sites of our deceased loved ones and cleaning the area, and then making offerings of food, incense, and then burning these joss paper offerings to create good fortune for those who have passed. So even though we may not be able to celebrate Qingming in the traditional way this year, there are still things that we can do in order to create merit to dedicate to our loved ones who have passed on. And you might be thinking, well, Pastor Jinai, can I dedicate merits to the deceased? Can I dedicate merits to people who have passed away? And you definitely can, because their consciousness is still there, their consciousness has taken rebirth, and their consciousness still exists, just not inhabiting the same physical form that you recognize or that you're used to. So definitely, their consciousness can still benefit from the generation and dedication of merits. Can you make offerings for your pets? Can you make offerings for the four-legged members of your family, the scaly members of your family, if you are into reptiles and fish? Yes, you can as well. You can definitely make offerings and dedicate the merit that is generated at this time to your pets. Alright, so that is it from me for this week. Don't forget, on the 10th of March is Pastor David's first sharing called Once Upon a Time with Rinpoche, where he will be telling some stories and sharing some of his experiences with Rinpoche. And then on the 13th of March, there will be a Detox Your Mind session with JP Tong on the Kechara Forest Retreat Facebook fan page, where JP will be talking about the topic of experience. I will see you guys next week. Have a fantastic week ahead, and don't forget to be kind to each other. Bye.